It feels like you're peering into my soul. This is what a VP of sales from a major company once said to me on a discovery call. What's so striking about this statement is that just moments earlier, this same VP was, like many outbound leads, very irritable and ready to write me off. But something I said instantly changed his mood. This man literally let out a sigh of relief and then unloaded all his business challenges on me for 10 minutes. That's every seller's dream. So what was it that I said? I used a technique that I call the discovery prompter. Before we dive into the ins and outs of the discovery prompter, let's quickly review who we're talking about here. In the last lesson, we learned about inbound leads who are actively exploring solutions. Now we're talking about outbound leads, buyers with latent pain. They're experiencing challenges or inefficiencies, but they aren't fully aware of them or they don't see a need for a solution yet. So they often drag their feet expecting you to push a product they don't think they need. These leads are at the beginning of the buyer's journey, so you're going to need to align your discovery accordingly. Now, I want you to imagine being in their shoes and getting hit with something like, so what motivated you to look into this solution? Okay, that makes no sense for somebody who's at the top of the funnel. They're gonna get irritated and go from cold to freezing very fast. Our goal with outbound leads is to thaw them out, so to speak, with the least amount of friction possible. And there are a couple different ways we can do that. The first should sound familiar. It's our context-led questions. I'll let you rewatch lesson 2 if you need a refresher, but context-led questions work great for thawing out cold leads because they build your credibility and set the stage for a productive conversation. The second technique you can use to warm up outbound leads is what I call the discovery prompter. The discovery prompter is something you can use at the beginning of your discovery call, right after you've set the rules of engagement. And it starts with you telling a short, pain-based narrative your buyer can see themselves in, and then quote unquote passing the torch back to your buyer. Now, this is going to require some storytelling skills. You want to tell a story in a way that makes your buyer go, hey, that's exactly what I'm struggling with too. When you do this right, this technique should open the floodgates for your buyers to start talking about their pains, their challenges, and their problems. Based on my experience, here's what the structure of your discovery prompter should look like step by step. One of our customers we worked with was dealing with, and then you're going to insert the pain statement. Before working with us, they were struggling with, and then here's where you're going to expand on that pain statement. In fact, it was such a struggle that fill in the blank by describing the negative ramifications. You're agitating the pain here. The short story is we helped them, and then you fill in the blank with the desired outcome. And then you simply end your story by passing the torch. And that might sound something like this. But enough about our customers and the challenges we solve for them. Tell me about the key challenges you're facing when it comes to whatever area you solve. At this point, as long as you've done your job telling a story that resonates, your buyer is going to start giving you a wealth of information about the challenges they're facing. Here's something worth noting. I want you to sear this into your brain. One of the quickest and most effective ways to earn a buyer's trust is to articulate their problem better than they can themselves. Now, I'm going to say that one more time. Articulate their problem better than they can articulate it themselves. And the discovery prompter helps you do exactly that. Let's look at an example. Let's say you're talking to a healthcare organization that's struggling with patient retention. You might say something like this. I personally worked with a hospital system similar to yours that was facing challenges in keeping patients engaged with follow-up care after discharge. Now, before working with us, their patient retention rates for post-treatment care had dropped significantly, causing remissions to spike. It was becoming such a problem that patient satisfaction scores were plummeting and administrative costs for follow-up care were rising fast. Now, the short story is we helped them implement a more streamlined follow-up process that not only increased retention, but also reduced readmission rates by 30%. Now for the handoff, this is where you pass the torch. But enough about our customers. Tell me about the key challenges you're facing when it comes to patient care that would become problematic if you left it unresolved in the next 6 to 12 months or so. Notice something I did there at the end. I said, if you don't solve them 6 to 12 months out. This phrase works wonders in getting people to zero in on their most urgent problems. Also, keep in mind that this example is probably a shortened version of a story that I would actually tell. Don't be afraid to talk for a few minutes, probably 4 or 5 minutes max. As long as you follow the basic discovery prompter structure, you should strike a chord. Don't get too discouraged when the discovery prompter doesn't go amazingly well the first few times you use it. Even the best sellers in the world don't get these things right immediately. The key is to practice, 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 and I promise it'll get easier as you go. Speaking of practice, let's get into your sales mastery challenge. I want you to choose an upcoming discovery call you have with a cold lead and choose a customer story you think will resonate with them. Follow the discovery prompter framework, write it down, then practice it out loud at least 3 times before your call. Then try it live, and as we've been doing, self-assess when you're done. And of course, you can use the worksheet provided in the resources section below. Let's move on to the most important lesson you can watch in this course, uncovering the need behind the need. That's not a typo, and I didn't misspeak. I'm talking about the need behind the need. I'll see you there.